growth rate of Y star, variable rate, whatever, all that. Okay. So basically what this is saying really is a lot of time, in theory, we know that Y is not equals to Y star. I hope you agree. Because if Y is equals to Y star, then you don't have to sit here. We can all pack out our backpack and walk out and say, we solved the economy. Economy is, it's in perfect condition, you know. Then there's no economy. Obama would be out of job because the economy is always potential GDP, potential GDP. No way. That's why we're here. That's why we have macroeconomics class. That's why we're here to solve the problem. How do we eliminate this output gap? Okay, so once again, variable rate of technical innovation, capital formation, all that. Okay, so all that are talking about actual output. So because they're not the same. Well, you know that's true, right? If you're producing car, there's no way that whatever you expect to sell will be exactly. Well, if you project to sell, let's just say you're a salesman, you say the boss told you, you know, well, by year end you have to have sold 100 cars. Is this about realistic? Anybody work in the car business? What is a monthly quota? Well, let's just say 10. Is that, well, no.
Well, it depends. Are you talking about?
I need to ask the Toyota dealership, yes?
Is it just one person or the whole entire?
No, one person.
I know like the whole entire, because I have a family member that.
Give me a number, yeah.
For the whole entire dealership is like, I think 20. It depends because it's a expensive
20?
dealership. 20 or-
20,000?
No, 20.
20,
cars.
20
20 cars or,
per month.
yeah, 20
Okay.
to 50 cars depending on.
Okay. So if it is, that's per week, is it?
Per month.
Per
that's
month. So let's say 20. 20 times 12. 240. So let's just say 500. So, but, you know, I mean, after the disaster, really, the economy is filled with a lot of lemons out there. We could say 1,000, make it easy, okay, for the sake of discussion. So if you project to sell 1,000 cars, and then by year end, you have sold like 800. Well, that always happens. That's your actual output. You know, it's different from your projected output. But what about on a more positive note? You have sold 1,200. Wow. Where'd you get this extra 200? Call Fayetteville office. Call Lawrenceburg. Come on, send me 20 cars. Was it 200? Yeah. Send me the difference, yeah. So in other words, what I want to say is a lot of time what you project is not the same, you know, what you actually end up producing. So, I mean, we experience it in real life too. You tell people, I'll be there on time. Did you? Sometimes 10 minutes late, you know, because you can't expect like the traffic condition and things like that. There are unknowns out there. And that's why economy is not so easy to figure out. It's like weather. Who knows we're gonna get hurricane, right? Once in 10 years, a bad one. Who knows it's gonna affect this area or other areas, you know? Okay, next I want to define what is output gap. Output gap is the difference between the economy's actual output and potential output. So I have already sort of explained it by graph there. So if you were to write out the equation, it looks like that. So let's, I may have changed the equation over the years since 2001, since I started using this textbook. So this is y minus y star like that, divided by y star, multiplied by 100. So the fact that you have to multiply by 100 because there's a rate involved there. Okay, your y star is your potential GDP. This is your actual GDP. And this is your potential. So with that, you could tell, right, if you get a negative number, what does that mean? If you get a negative number, meaning that you are experiencing recessionary gap, because this would be like 5,000 and that would be 10,000, right? So you get a negative number. So every time you get a negative number with the output gap that you calculate, you straight away know that that's recessionary gap, and vice versa. Okay, that's a hint for you, and that's very important. Because once you get there, the next two chapters are going to be a little bit easier. If you don't get it, then it's going to be tough, yeah. So recessionary gap is a negative output gap where Y star is greater than Y. And I know some of you, when you look at it, you might say, oh yeah, this is not easy to understand. But if you put it in graph like that, it's easy. Because you know that the Y will be less than Y star, it will be to the left of it. So we think in terms of to the left or to the right. Okay, so expansionary gap is the other way. That is, your Y is actually, your actual output will be above and beyond what you could produce at potential output. That's when we have our $10,000 cash there. So what about employment? Tell me what you think. We got those two gaps here. Do you think we have, what kind of well, we'll have unemployment either case. So in this case, we'll have high because you're in recession. So over here, you will have low unemployment rate. So please add on. Now that one is very important because next time I come to the class, I will do that graph again. Because it's so important that you get it. Okay, so exactly what is recessionary gap? I think I already talked about it. You're not quite using up the capital, the resources like capital and labor fully. And the output and employment are less than their sustainable level. The sustainable level is talking about potential GDP. And whereas expansionary gap is the other way. Your output, what you produce, and your employment is actually above the sustainable level. Demand for goods exceed the capacity to produce them, and so we got excess demand, what I explained earlier, and then it prompts the price to go up because remember, the more people see us coming and say, those are rich people coming to town. So let's take down all the discount sign and tell them we have 20% increase. Oh yeah, don't tell them because you can't tell people we got 20% increase in price. Nobody wants to hear that. They want to hear decrease, discount. So lead to inflation, okay? All right. Next, we want to define a special type of unemployment that's related to this potential GDP. I'm going to erase this now. Well, actually, I can write it here. Oh, I could erase it, yeah. So natural rate of unemployment is, before we define that, so again, this is what I just wrote down. Recessionary gap characterized by high unemployment. Expansionary gap to the right characterized by unusually low unemployment. Okay, you got that. So next, natural rate of unemployment is defined as U star. So just like your potential GDP, got a U star here. Now remember, some time ago we talked about unemployment rate has to be a positive number. You cannot have negative unemployment rate. Unlike deflation, you could get a negative inflation, which we call deflation, but not so with unemployment rate. You always have a positive number. So what exactly is natural rate of unemployment? It's got two types of unemployment in it. Number one is frictional. Number two is structural. You see that the third kind of unemployment is missing. What is it? The cyclical, right? So natural rate of unemployment consists of the two that we're very familiar. The first two types of unemployment, frictional and structural. So, and then I want to define what is cyclical unemployment in relate to that. So please write this all down. the cyclical unemployment is equal to U. Let's write it the other way. U minus U star. Okay, so that's sort of like what you just wrote down, Y minus Y star. Again, the textbook edition had changed the notation quite a bit because it was so confusing to students. So they finally say, we'll call it U minus U star. In fact, they didn't change it. They changed it to Y minus Y star. You don't need to know, so I don't need to confuse you. So this right here together, the U means actual unemployment, and this one means natural rate of unemployment. So do not get them mixed up, because look how many unemployment I just described. 5. Did you get it? 5. Because cyclical unemployment is the difference between actual unemployment, 1, 2, minus natural rate of unemployment, 3, and that 3 in there, there are 2 more. Got it? Number 4 and 5. Structural and the frictional unemployment. Okay. So how does this unemployment called natural rate of unemployment fit into this diagram? That's the most important thing. So, let's talk about this. So remember, because your natural rate of unemployment consists 2 types of unemployment here. We know that natural rate of unemployment is always above 0. So for example, 4%. And so there is no such thing as 0 natural rate of unemployment, because that's not possible. This has to have some number here, so that has to be a positive number. Definitely above 0. So what does it mean when your cyclical unemployment is 0? Means right here, I'm going to erase some of this. So this is when your U minus U star is equals to 0. Right here, potential GDP. So your textbook does not come out and jump out and say, this is it, but this is it. So I'm explaining to you. Now, if you rewrite this equation, that means U is equals to U star. Now, just bring it to the right-hand side. That's what it means. So that means at potential GDP, your actual unemployment is exactly equals to your natural rate of unemployment. In other words, your cyclical unemployment is 0. Now, okay, if I give example, how about if it is, say, 4%? Yeah, 4% minus 4% is 0, but that U star is never 0. So don't tell me 0 minus 0 equals to 0, because that doesn't make sense in this context. But 5 minus 5 is 0, 4 minus 4 is 0. Okay, now if you're on this side here, now we're going to define this a little bit better. Okay, if you're on the right hand side, the next, where it is, this means that U minus U star, well, U minus U star is greater than 0. Okay, and then I rewrite equation, I bring this to the right hand side, so that's a sign. So what this is saying is, let's just say this is 4%, your natural rate of unemployment, so this would be like 10%. Okay, so this is bad. So that's what it means. Your cyclical unemployment here is positive. And that's the one we don't want it to be positive, because that's the one that you have to call out Obama and tell him bad news. Okay, on the left-hand side, when you're in recessionary gap, your U minus U star will be less than 0. That means U is less than U star. So, yeah, that's correct, U, right. So in this case, right, yeah, that's a very high number. So if you're in reset, did I get it wrong?
Yeah, you switched it.
Yeah, that is correct. So what's wrong? I'm sorry. Oh, the other way.
Yeah.
Gee. Okay, my apologies. This is, thank you. U minus U star greater than 0, yeah. No wonder the number doesn't make sense, because the bad number has to be on the left-hand side. Okay, so this is 4%, this is 10%, so yuck. Okay, so your cyclical unemployment is positive. So over here is the other way. The cyclical unemployment is now negative, because that's how you define the cyclical unemployment. And if it is negative, means this is 4%, but this is even lower than that. Like say 1.5%. If I give example, it's a little bit easier. So this is good. Finally, we got a smiling face. The inflation part is not good, but then the low cyclical unemployment is good under expansionary gap. Okay, so let's look at some numbers. So from 6.3% in 1979. So these are the number that when you see this number 6.3, 4.8, these are actually the natural rate of unemployment. Because sometimes you ask, what exactly is that number? Well, we know that it has to be positive. We know it's not 0. So we give you some example. In 1979, that was 6.3. Now this make a great topics if you want to look up information on what is the latest potential GDP for your article summary towards the end of the semester, like how they compute it. That would be a good thing to do. Okay, 4.8% in 2007. So in other words, you know, they vary, okay, depending on the state of the economy. So unemployment stayed close to 4% for several years. So again, this is talking about natural rate of unemployment, the one that has both frictional and structure together. Remember, the frictional unemployment is a good kind of unemployment, right? Because that's the one that you kind of like in between jobs. I keep putting smiling face everywhere. What about this one? This one is kind of neutral. Neutral in the sense that it's not too bad. You could correct it over time. Your training, education, give people English class, you know, computer class, and retrain them so they're okay. We take care of it all the time. The bad one is the cyclical unemployment. We can't do anything about it except to throw out macroeconomic policy, which will be the next 2 chapters. Okay, so what is it? So natural rate of unemployment actually got down to 4.5, and what are some of the explanation is because these 2 unemployment are actually lower. So of course, if they're lower, then your natural rate of unemployment will be lower. And then we look at some youth, and this is another topic that popular among our students when they did their project paper. They want to do unemployment, especially focusing on this particular age group, 16 to 24. Okay, that's kind of like your age group here, median. We say that the share of working age population for this age group, 16 to 24 years old, actually dropped from 25% to 15%. So that's meaning that that's good to some extent. So if it's dropped down to 15%, right, and look at this group of people who go through the job market, they usually experience all this that we talk about here. They usually experience high unemployment rate because part-time workers, short-term jobs, career shopping, school out from college, you know, interrupt work for school or military service, and you have more frequent job changes happening. So because of that, we say that, so when this percentage drop, you know, that means this is a group that is most disruptive in terms of unemployment. So when that percentage drop, so that can explain that the frictional and the structural unemployment rate also come down. So therefore, natural rate of unemployment comes down. Lower skill means more structural unemployment. So there's a little bit positive, but overall it's negative. Okay, and then that's on the supply side. What about, that's on the demand side. What about on the supply side? On the supply side, we say, oh, the job market situation actually, the efficiency of how they put out jobs is actually better. Because now you don't have to go to the employment agency, look at the bulletin board and tell them, line up, and say, this is my skill, here's my CV. You can do everything online, yeah? You can get a job easily by just looking online and look for a job. So that, to some extent, the labor market today, because it has gone digital so in so many ways, it become more efficient in matching jobs. So I think that we agree. And then we said, yeah, they start to post online job boards, and so it's actually faster. You get a job faster because of the way information is traveling today. You don't have to drive to the employment agency, the only one in town, and line up and look at what's available and then line up to try to get that job. So all this is saying that on the supply side, it's also more efficient. So yeah, eventually this natural rate of unemployment comes down because people get job faster, more efficient. So both supply and demand side explain why the natural rate of unemployment had been coming down in recent years. Next, I want to introduce what is Okun's law. Okun is the name or last name of an economist who come up with that equation at the bottom. That equation at the bottom, which I'm going to write down here, relates cyclical unemployment, which is U minus U star, to output gap. And you have to know that equation for your test. I'm not going to give it to you, so please remember it. So what it is Y minus Y star divided by Y star, and then multiply by 100. So that's the same one you saw earlier, the output gap. It says that according to Okun's law, on the right side of the equation is your cyclical unemployment in English, because U minus U star, that's what it is. And remember, we have to multiply by 100 to make it a rate. And this, we know it's already in rate because we call it unemployment rate. So -2 right there. Don't forget that -2, very important. So according to this law, in English it say, each extra percentage point of cyclical unemployment on the right-hand side is related to about 2% increase in the output gap, measured in relation to potential GDP because it divided by Y star. So in other words, if things got worse, right? If your cyclical unemployment goes up, this being negative, it means that it will bring down output gap by this much. So that's all that it is saying. And earlier we have said that every time you get a negative output gap, you are in recessionary gap. So now give one example applying that equation that we just seen. Suppose the economy begins with 1% cyclical unemployment and recessionary gap of 2%. So therefore, if you increase the cyclical unemployment to 2%, if it goes up by to 2%, then the recessionary gap will actually go up by 4%. So 2 times. But remember that negative. So what that means is if unemployment goes up, it's not good. Then your output gap should actually, the number actually increase here. So both goes up. And that's not good, because if your output gap increase means, what is it? So instead of 5,000 here, it moved further to maybe 1,000. That's just one example. That's what it means. If the output gap increase means further and further. Why is that so bad if it is further and further? Why is it so bad if the gap gets bigger? Because it would take more time to correct it. It would take more time for you to get back. See, a while ago it was here, right? You could get back here a little bit faster. But if it's so far away, it takes more time, more effort. That's what it means. Okay. Okay, next example. This one I used to ask students to do it and tell me the number, but today you see all the answers here. Depending on which PowerPoint I use, you know, sometimes I use the wrong one. Whoops, the answer's here, so you don't have to do anything. You got lucky today. Okay, so same thing. So if you look at it, we look at some numbers here. Let's look at the output gap very quickly. You got 3 years that are negative. Okay, so you could straight away say these are the 3 years that we experience recessionary gap. Now for that particular year, you got a positive number, an output gap, so you could say that that's the year that we have expansionary gap. But a lot of the time you're not so lucky. What if he don't give you this number? Can you tell? What if he just, what is that? Oh yeah, just get rid of that. So if you get rid of that, right, you don't have that, and we ask you, which are the years that you experience, say, expansionary gap, would you know? I think you know. It is. U minus U star is less than 0, or U is less than U star. So there it is. Your actual unemployment rate for the year 2000 is less than your natural rate of unemployment. Bingo! You know right away this is expansionary gap. And likewise here. So this is the one that if your natural rate of unemployment says 5%, well, this is not so good either. Let's use 2010. If your natural rate of unemployment is 5.2, but the actual one is well, it's higher. It doesn't have to be a lot higher. 9.6. That's it. You're in recessionary gap. So I'm telling you there's more than one way to look at it. So when you see your stuff on the test, you know, even though you don't get this information, but even these two information here is enough to tell you what kind of gap you're in, whether you're in recessionary or in expansionary gap. Okay, any questions? Oh yeah, and this is kind of bad. It's in red because this is so huge, that number, and this is actually 1.2 trillion. So this is trying to explain it. 2010, the output gap, we knew that was negative. Policymakers pay attention to output gap because of the impact it has on our standards of living. So we must not forget, you know, every time we study economics, and we do all this about why. What's the point? Because the policymaker care about this number because if this number is huge, that means it's got some kind of impact on people's standards of living. Okay, so and then they give example, average impact 8,000 for a family of 4. The distribution of costs are not even because basically people who get affected the most are the ones who are unemployed, who get laid off. And what kind of people get laid off? We talked about it the other day. Is it blue collar job workers or white collar job workers? Blue collar job workers. People who work in the factories, constructions, manufacturing, any industry that produce durable goods. And what are the durable goods?
Cars, appliances.
Cars, thank you, appliances, computer, electronics stuff, you know, that they produce out there. Okay. Real life example, let's look at some history. Federal Reserve Bank, your central bank, applied the brakes in 1999 and 2000. What does it mean by applying the brakes? Meaning like economy is moving too fast, like right here. Keep moving that way. So you try to, applying the brake means stop them from moving too fast. How do you do it? So that would be the next chapter, yeah. So we have to practice, well, we could draw some pictures here. About 1997, cyclical unemployment rate became negative. Okay, so when it became negative, I'm trying to help you. That's good. Because cyclical unemployment is negative means you are in the smiling face side, okay? So that means you're in EG, expansionary gap. Yeah, I was trying to help you there by giving you hint there. Between 1997 and 1998, that was during the Asian financial crisis. Federal Reserve Bank somehow saw the inflationary pressure is low due to gains in productivity. This is deceiving, really, international competition, because I remember in Asia they experienced a very huge financial crisis, but obviously it did not affect the U.S., so they didn't do anything. And then expansionary gap keep getting bigger. That's what I mean, like far away. A year later, 1999 to 2000, so this is before September 11. That part of it is because of remember we talked about that internet stocks, the technology stocks, the internet bubble burst because everybody was doing so well. This is right after the commercialization of internet. All these companies are doing so well. So the Fed grew more concerned about inflation and they began to slow down the economy. How did they slow it down? Recession in early 2001 caused the Fed to reverse. Okay, so that's when September 11 hit. And then they say, oh, no. So at the beginning, it was too fast. It kept moving that way, and then the Fed tried to stop it. And then when September 11 hit, right, they don't have to do much because then boom, 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 all the way to the left. That's what happened. So what about output gap? There are two main reasons that we have output gap because remember we haven't talked about sticky price here. So basically, in the Keynesian model, I'm going to give you a gist now. You can write down the assumption, okay? So next week we talk about Keynesian physical and monetary policy. So this will be chapter 11, chapter 12 here. And the key assumption, please write this down, for Keynesian's model is short term. Very important. Number two, prices are fixed. You will hear this term a lot, or preset. Prices are preset, prices are predetermined. Oh boy, can write this out. Premined. So therefore, you meet the demand as it comes. Like if you have a pizza store, well, ice cream store, I like ice cream store a little bit better. In the summertime, if you look out the window, hot sunny day, 100 degrees, you saw 200 people lining up outside trying to cram into your ice cream store. At that time, right, there's your business instinct to tell you, raise the price. Because they're trying to come in there too, so many of them. But you dare not go outside the store and on the bulletin board, change from $1 a scoop to $2 per scoop. Because they'll stone you to death. You can't do that. You cannot change the price immediately, right in front of their eyes. So what you have to do is you have to wait. So in the short term, you will meet demand as they come. That's what it means. Okay, meet the demand at preset prices. In the long run, you could take over the storefront next door. You could buy more ice cream making machine, and you could hire more workers. So in the short run, we say prices are fixed. Sometimes you use the term sticky price, like honey. When you first take it out from the refrigerator, you try to pour it, it won't come down because it's sticky. All these terms are used to describe the prices are fixed, which is very important assumption in Keynesian model. Okay, and then all that stuff, I'm going to skip. So over the weekend, I'm going to skip that as well. Here's your homework. Okay, be sure you read chapter 10, page 230 to 241. And it say, why do short-term fluctuations occur? And very important, read about the Al's ice cream store. And then next week, my explanation will be a little bit easier. So, but remember the assumption. So all these pages or slides are Actually summarizing it to 3 lines. That's the most important. Okay, have a great